Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. Mitchell, we had a great slate of Week 5 games, starting with the Seattle Seahawks. They battled with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. An offensive showcase, a shootout. Unfortunately, the Seahawks fell short, but a great game by Sam Darnold, a great game by Baker Mayfield. The defenses didn't decide to show up today, but the Ohio State receivers did, and that was an incredible game. Your Lions cruise to a win versus the Cincinnati Bengals, and the game wasn't as close as the ending score appeared, but Jared Goff, 2 TDs, all the good stuff. We'll get to that game. And maybe the biggest upset of the day, the Broncos defeating the undefeated Eagles. That game is a game we're definitely going to have to talk about, no question about it.
I thought you were going to say the Tennessee Titans over the Arizona Cardinals, because all that could go wrong for the Cardinals in that game did go wrong. Holy cow. Richard, we got a lot to talk about, but let's start up in Seattle with your Seattle Seahawks. I see you rocking that Seattle Seahawk throwback hat tonight. Unfortunately, it was not the outcome you wanted, but this Seattle Seahawk team played a heck of a game. The reality is Tampa Bay is a pretty darn good team. Baker Mayfield has showed up, and he showed up in a large way. 29 of 33 on the road in front of the 12s. They get the job done in an absolute barn burner. Richard, what are your initial thoughts and impressions of this game?
Well, it came down to obviously great offensive efficiency, but it started off so slow. The Seattle Seahawks didn't get a touchdown until the last 2 minutes of the first half. Offensive series were derailed. They picked a random opportunity to put Jalen Milroe in the game and run an option that led to a turnover. He pitched the ball to K9. It was a weird pitch. K9 couldn't handle it. He fumbles, the Bucs recover, and it just left you scratching your head because it led to the Tampa Bay Bucs' first touchdown of the game, which was huge in the grand scheme of things. It's huge when you look at how this game ended. Obviously, there was a missed kick by Myers in this game, so all those things end up adding up, but Sam Darnold played an incredible game, especially in the second half. In that last 2 minutes of the first half, he was 27 of 32 for 337 yards, 4 TDs. He did have that interception, but it bounced off a helmet, and, I think it was a case of Clint Kubiak getting too cute late in the game. They were in control of the game. They could have ran the football and just milked the clock and just been methodical about how they did it, and I think I could be wrong. They just got a little cute. And unfortunately, a bad tip off the helmet and the ball gets deflected and Levante David takes advantage of it. And it puts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the driver's seat. That's how the games go. Those are the mistakes you can't have in a game like this versus a really, really good Tampa Bay Bucs team. And obviously offensively, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had their way. There are question marks defensively for the Seattle Seahawks team. Devin Witherspoon was out. Tariq Woolen went out, and I think that changed the way Mike McDonald was calling the game. I don't think he was calling man coverage as much anymore. They were calling zone predominantly, trying to protect these backup corners. And unfortunately, it left a lot of voids in the secondary and a lot of holes in the defense, and it may have been a miscommunication. Emeka Egbuka took advantage of it to the tune of 7 catches for 163 yards. He was bombing them. But every time it looked like they needed a catch, they needed a big play, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got it. And for everything that can be said, the Seattle Seahawks did the same. When they needed a big play, Sam Darnold was up to the task. He found whether it was A.J. Barner, who had an incredible game with 2 touchdowns in this game. I think he can be a big-time player in this league. I think he needs to be featured more in this offense, and I was happy to see him featured this game. Obviously, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet featured in this game. I think Kenneth Walker needed more carries than the 10 that he got, but Jackson Smith and Jigba made big play after big play after big play, had his 8 catches for 132 yards in the touchdown. Like I said, A.J. Barner had the 2 touchdowns on 7 catches, and then Torrey Horton got in the end zone late in the game. That was positive news. I think that is sustainable. Sam Darnold looked like the guy. who they drafted out of USC. He looks like a guy who can play at a really, really high level. This was a QB duel that I think was at an elite level. But defensively, you gotta shore up these holes. You got to shore up these holes, and you got to get some rush, get some pressure on Sam Darnold. They did a phenomenal job keeping Rachaad White in check before the last 12-yard carry. He had 13 carries for about 29 yards. So they did a good job keeping him in check, keeping the Bucs run game in check. But you got to get more on Sam Darnold. I mean, you got to get more on Baker Mayfield. You got to get more pressure, and I think that was missing in this game. When they did get pressure, when they did rush him, he was able to get out of the pocket and make plays and find an open receiver in these zones. They only sacked him once in the game. There was some clear frustration throughout the game. You saw a play where Leonard Williams got into it with Tristan Wirfs, and it led to a penalty which didn't end up being materially relevant, but you could just sense the frustration. And I know this defense holds themselves to a high standard, so to give up 38 points to this team, to any team, is something that they don't think is acceptable. And I'm sure they're going to go back to the drawing board and make the corrections, challenge one another, and come back with a big time fire. But you got to give credit to both of these offenses, both of these quarterbacks. They played a phenomenal game. The NFC West is still wide open. The Arizona Cardinals, like you said, lost today, last second, with some really ridiculous plays down the stretch to the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward. We'll talk about that game later, but the 49ers are sitting atop the NFC West at 4-1, and it's the matchup next week in Tampa Bay with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers is looking like the game of the week now, with all things considered.
No question.
The San Francisco 49ers obviously got to get healthier on both sides of the football, and I think they get Mustafa back. There's a small chance they get Kittle back, but I think they're going to be feeling good. They had a long rest. They played on Thursday on a short week, so they got a little extended rest. They got to watch games this weekend, so I think that's going to be good for them. But, woo! Another team in my top 5, your Detroit Lions, continue to look really good, Mitchell.
Richard, something tells me they're going to be climbing up your power ranks after this week. I mean, you saw a lot of fall off in your top 5. Let's be real here. We saw a lot of fall off. The Detroit Lions are positioned perfectly after the Eagles lost to climb the Richard Sherman power ranks, and I love to see it. They go on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, and on paper at the beginning of the season, this matchup looked like it was going to be a tough one with Joe Burrow at the helm, but Joe Burrow was not playing today. Jake Browning was, and he struggled. I mean, this Lions defense in the first half looked absolutely dominant. This Lions defense looked like a championship caliber defense. I mean, when healthy, I think this Detroit Lions defense can be one of the top 5 in the league, and I said that coming into the season. I love the depth that they have across the board, especially in the linebacker room. I mean, Jack Campbell is rising to be one of the stars in this league, and he's relatively unknown still. Richard, if you haven't heard of the guy, look up Luke Kuechly, because that's who Jack Campbell reminds me of. He's a very good coverage guy. He gets after the quarterback. He's the surest tackler on the field. And again, one of those unsung heroes that goes unrecognized in the NFL. So if you guys don't know him, look up Jack Campbell, because he's been the difference maker, and he's helped turn the identity of this Detroit Lions defense. Richard, what concerns me the most about this Detroit Lions team is they had an opportunity to absolutely bury the Cincinnati Bengals, and they let them crawl back in the game late. The score is not indicative of how dominant the Lions played in the first half, 37-24. But the reality is Jamar Chase got going late in this game and ended up with 2 touchdowns, one being a deep pass that for no reason got over Amik Robertson's head on a 3rd and long. So, there's things that I'm sure looking at this game that Dan Campbell's going to want to clean up. But in terms of a team that I think is firmly in the Super Bowl challenger mix, the Detroit Lions have got to be 1 or 2. And I would debate that to the moon and back with whoever wants to debate me on that. This team right here, after I watched the Philadelphia Eagles fold at home against the Denver Broncos, there's no way in the world you're not telling me the Detroit Lions are not going to march into Lincoln Financial Field or whatever it's called in Philadelphia and beat the brakes out of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Detroit Lions are positioned to beat any team in this NFL, and I love that they were able to go on the road, albeit with a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals team, and take control of this game early and often. Richard, you referred to Levi South in LA. I mean, this was Ford Field South today, only a 4-hour drive from Detroit. The place was flooded with Detroit Lions fans. You saw the Honolulu Blue, which I know you love, everywhere in that stands. Richard, but I got to know, I rambled for a long time right there because you know I love this team, but I got to know, what are your thoughts about the Detroit Lions right now? Another dominant double-digit victory.
Well, before I really go in on them, because I think the same thing you think. I think they're dominant. I think they're good. I think they're Super Bowl contenders. I got to go back and correct some things about Sam Darnold. He was 28 of 34 for 341, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. That costly interception with under a minute to go in the game. That's going to be what he's remembered as. But this was an elite ball game for Sam Darnold. I think this elevated him into the conversation, the top 10 quarterback conversation in National Football League, no question about it. But your Detroit Lions look really, 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 really good. Obviously, this is an overmatched Cincinnati Bengals team, but it's the consistency they're showing week in and week out. You got to be able to beat the teams you're supposed to beat in the National Football League, and we've seen time in and time out teams not beating the teams they're supposed to beat. We saw it last week with the Chargers when they lost to the Giants in Jackson Dart. We saw it this week with the Arizona Cardinals losing to the Tennessee Titans. In a game they're supposed to win. So you got to beat the teams, and there's something to be said about beating the teams you're supposed to beat. But it's the concerns I have about this team, about this Lions team, is the 4 sacks that Jared Goff took in this game, and this isn't a world beater Cincinnati Bengals pass rush. They got some players. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson is a guy that can rush with the best of them, but this offensive line is better than what they showed in this game. You can't have 4 sacks and be an elite team, especially going up against a decimated team. You didn't necessarily, it's not like you were behind the entire game and you had to drop back and pass a ton of times. You only passed the ball 23 times. So to pass 23 times, to drop back and pass 23 times, or I guess 27 times, he didn't get them off when he gets sacked. But and your quarterback take that many sacks is a little bit of a cause for concern. But you got to give credit to the run game and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They're starting to find their rhythm. This offensive line, this interior offensive line, seems to be gelling and starting to find their chemistry a little bit in terms of the run game. But the pass game against great teams, you're not going to be able to live like that. You're not going to be able to live giving up 4 sacks in a ball game. So I think, although we're going to praise them because they deserve to move up in our power rankings and they're definitely a Super Bowl contending team, we talk about going down the line and having foresight about the problems that may present themselves in the future. And that's the one that I'm concerned about, is that pass rush, offensive line pass protecting and the defensive line pass rushing, because we talked about Jake Browning struggling, but he ended up getting hot, like you said, throwing for 3 touchdowns. He threw the 3 interceptions in this game, and everybody had one. You would have thought Oprah was in Cincinnati because you get a pick, you get a pick, you get a pick. And you guys were feasting off that. Amik Roberts got one. Your guy Anzalone got one. Kirby Joseph got a layup out there and had some fun. But you can't, again, you got your foot on the neck, you got to keep a foot on the gas, and you got to finish them. And that's the part that is concerning, because a 3rd and long, you let the best player on the field get open deep, for a touchdown. That's concerning, because who else are you watching? Who else are you looking for? Who else are you defending on these plays? If you're not defending Jamar Chase on these plays, then and you're playing the Cincinnati Bengals, I don't know what you're doing. Sure, you got some respect for T. Higgins, and you got to keep an eye out for him, but Jamar Chase is the guy. He's making $40 million for a reason. There's no way that you don't remember where he is or you're not paying attention to him. But I think that might just be human nature. You get up a lot, you kind of get lackadaisical, you stop thinking about that, but it still was a great game for the Detroit Lions. I look forward to continue to see them grow and see them be effective in the weeks to come up, because they're in a tough division, and they got a really tough game next week against the Kansas City Chiefs.
And then they follow that up with Tampa Bay at home on Monday night. I mean, this team, we talked about it going into the season. If you look at their schedule top to bottom, it is an absolute gauntlet, and they're proving they belong on the top of the food chain in the NFL. And I'm going to counter you real quick before we leave this game, Richard, because I don't want you to get jumped on by a bunch of Detroit fans in the comment section. I know these Detroit fans in the comment section are nice, and they are. We love you guys. But Richard, they were starting a second-year player from Canada, from British Columbia, Giovanni Manu, because the veteran Taylor Decker, their left tackle of, I don't even know, almost 10 years, was out with injury today. So Giovanni Manu had a tough task going up against Trey Hendrickson, which we saw, Hendrickson got the better of him. But, for them to get the win on the road with a left tackle with zero experience, and give up 4 sacks. It's a learning lesson. Hopefully he grows and become more, I guess, usable on that offensive line in the long term. But without Taylor Decker, obviously it showed this week, but the Lions were still able to escape with a win. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles.
But you also just don't want to get your quarterback killed in these situations, Mitchell. I know you're starting a new guy, and you come up with a plan to protect him. You come up with a plan to make sure he's not that detrimental, because heaven forbid something happens to Jared Goff because you're playing a left tackle who doesn't deserve to be out there, and he's playing against an elite pass rusher, and now your quarterback's beat up because, hey, you got a better team than this, but again, you put a guy out there and didn't put a plan around him to protect him. So that's all I'm saying. Hopefully Taylor Decker is better in the future and he's healthy going forward, but let's get a plan together.
I hear you. Let's talk about these Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, we were texting throughout the game. Philly, while they were undefeated entering this game, they looked rather lifeless offensively. You saw the frustration with A.J. Brown. I would imagine he's still frustrated after this game. They're not using him at all. And then we see it creep down. Saquon Barkley, 6 rushes for 30 yards. This is your workhorse. This is a guy that, I mean, without him, I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl last year. This is a guy they leaned on consistently last year, and they just didn't do it. They didn't do it. They let the Broncos get back in this game for no reason. The Eagles had this well in control, 17-3 in the fourth quarter, and the Broncos just dominated that fourth and came away with the win. And you touched on it too. Sean Payton was ballsy, going for 2, taking that lead, showing them that they wanted to come to Philly and leave with the W. Whereas, the way I saw it, Philly was just playing not to lose, and they lost. Richard, is this Philadelphia Eagles offense bad, or is the Broncos defense just this good?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't think that's a question we'll be able to answer after even 5 weeks, because you really don't know, because they haven't played and really used their weapons in the way they have in the past. I mean, Kevin Patullo, I don't want to butcher his name, but Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, you're setting yourself up to have really difficult conversations with the best players on your team. Because on one hand, the week before, you don't get A.J. Brown involved. The week before that, you don't really get A.J. Brown involved. You frustrate him. This week, Devontae Smith goes off. I'm sure he's happy, had a good game, over 100 yards, 8 catches. Sure, it feels great. A.J. Brown got his targets. Cool. You know what I mean? I'm sure he would have wanted that deep pass that they missed on back and maybe complete that, and he would probably be content. But then you got your reigning offensive player of the year, an MVP candidate, Saquon Barkley, with only 5 carries in the game. And I'm not an offensive coordinator. I'm not an offensive coordinator. Or 6 carries. Sorry, my apologies. 6 carries. But Saquon Barkley only having 9 touches in a football game, where you only score 17 points, seems like a head scratcher to me, and it seems like something that Sirianni is going to have to address, because, again, you guys are a better offense when he touches the ball more. You talk about him and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey touches the ball a ton for the San Francisco 49ers because he's effective in all these phases of the game. And clearly, you guys have tape, a whole year of tape last year, of how great Saquon Barkley can be when he touches the ball a lot. Now, did you have a great respect for the rush or the defensive line of the Denver Broncos? Maybe, but Saquon Barkley was effective. He only had 6 carries, but he had 30 yards. He was averaging 5 a carry. He had a 17-yard carry in the game. So it's a head-scratching maneuver. I don't understand why they didn't give him the ball more. But I know if you continue this and you start to lose, things are going to snowball quickly. It's not going to snowball and slowly, because it was snowballing when you're winning. People are getting frustrated, and guys are expressing their frustrations openly. A.J. Brown, Devontae, And I'm sure Saquon is going to start to express his frustrations because there are great players and impactful players in this game, and you are wasting them. You are wasting them. This is looking like a bad offense. This is like a Ferrari losing to Honda Civics. You know what I mean? You're watching a Ferrari just sit there and rev its engine, and Honda Civics just zoom by it. Not that the Denver Broncos defense. This is a defense with an elite pass rush, one of the reigning defensive player of the year. They can play at a high level, no question about that. They deserve all the respect in the world, and they held the Philadelphia Eagles to 17 points. But this has been constant. This has been consistent. The Philadelphia Eagles have consistently underwhelmed and underutilized their best players. And so that's something I just can't understand as a fan. This is an objective fan. I got him number one in my power rankings, but I have a hard time justifying it because of how this offense is running. I know we just look at Jalen Hurts and say, he keeps winning. He's winner. He keeps winning. In this game, he was 23 of 38 for 280 and 2 touchdowns, but you scored 17 points, and you didn't score any in the fourth quarter. And again, this is consecutive weeks because last week, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass. I don't think he completed a pass in the second half, if I'm not mistaken, but I know he didn't in the fourth quarter. And so those are bad habits to have. Those are bad trends that are starting to set in, and you wonder why that is. There's no way anybody can explain why Saquon Barkley is carrying the ball 6 times. You guys weren't down in this game. You were leading for the majority of this game. And then defensively, you say 18 unanswered in the fourth, 18 unanswered. Bo Nix, 9 for 10 in the fourth quarter, 1 TD, 3 for 3 in scoring drives. Somebody's going to have to answer these questions, and I'm not sure who that is. Now, there are some weaknesses in that Philadelphia Eagles secondary. And we talked about that before. I think that's going to be an Achilles heel going forward, but you can't have it. But even with all that said, they gave up 21 points in the game. You got a high-scoring offense, very, very potent offense. If we hold you to 21, we have an off day. I expect the Philadelphia Eagles offense to elevate and still win this game, and they didn't. They were up 17-3 to start the fourth quarter, and it just fell apart. And I know Eagles fans are frustrated. I'm trying to express your frustration for you. I'm trying to get it all out and exercise your demons because I can't explain that. This is might be the most talented team in the National Football League. Does he not know how to drive? Like, take it out of you can't get out of gear too? Like, hit the clutch, hit the brake,
yank the thing, Richard.
He hit it. Like, get this offense in gear because you sitting here in second gear when you got 6 gears in this. Like, you wasting this offense. And this is, I understand the Philadelphia Eagles, their fan base, they got a short fuse, Mitchell. They're coming off a Super Bowl win, but still, their fuses are short. They're going to be calling for people's job if this happens again. And they've only lost 1 game. But it's just unacceptable. It's a game they shouldn't have lost, which is why it's going to be very frustrating for their fans.
Well, you look at it, and I mean, we talked about it. They almost lost to the Dallas Cowboys, right, opening the season up. Then last week, I mean, really, they got saved by their special teams and defense last week that scored some points for them. Other than that, facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they gave them heck, and without Mike Evans. So I don't know. I mean, Philly's still a great team, and I understand why you put them number 1 in your power ranks. They're the defending champs. But bottom line, they got to do better. There's a lot more in their arsenal than they're doing right now. And like you said, they got to get into gear and get into gear quick because I see a lot of frustration brewing. Richard, let's go across the pond. We got another 9:30 a.m. kickoff Eastern time this morning. The Minnesota Vikings stayed overseas for almost 2 weeks, and they come away with a win against the Cleveland Browns. It was a relative thriller this morning. Dylan Gabriel looked decent, right? Had a decent showing in his first outing, 2 touchdown passes. What are your impressions with this game? The Minnesota Vikings, they're now 3-2. They got themselves off the mat with a win, albeit against the Cleveland Browns. Where do you view this Vikings team? Can they turn into a playoff contender?
Well, first off, I want to say, thank goodness I didn't have to play for a team that had to stay in international waters for 2 weeks in a row. I would have hated that. That would have been, oh my God, absolute nightmare. Could you imagine telling your wife, yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Sure.
Just take care of everything while I'm here. Just don't even worry about it. I'll be back. Bills will be paid. Don't stress about it. Like, what? Who scheduled this? God. But I think Dylan Gabriel played solid. I think he played not to lose his game. I think he played mistake-free, not turn the ball over, played relatively safe. He pushed the ball down the field a little bit, but nothing crazy. I didn't think he did anything for him to be replaced or really even be highly scrutinized, because going against a Brian Flores coach defense, a lot of quarterbacks struggle. A lot of quarterback. He brings a lot of really exotic pressures, exotic looks at the line, zero pressures, and he puts a lot of pressure on a young quarterback to make quick decisions, to not make mistakes, to diagnose coverage, to get through disguises and things like that. But I thought he did a good job. I thought he kept his team in the game. Gave him a chance to win. I think Judikins is really a superstar in the making. I think he really did a good job of keeping him in this game. But give it to Kevin Stefanski for coming up with a good game plan for his young quarterback, run the ball, play solid defense. Carson Wentz, obviously, for the Minnesota Vikings, did a good job of just making great throws. I mean, he made some really great layered throws, beat cover 2 for a touchdown to Jordan Addison late in the game over the superstar quarter, Ward, and it was just a play where I think he misjudged it. You know, he got Addison gave him an outside release. He was in a cloud coverage. He didn't get enough speed back. The safety didn't get over, and you just really can't give up an outside release in that coverage and then turn your back on it. It's a tough play, and Carson Wentz delivered a dime, and that's what ended up being the deciding touchdown in the game. But congratulations to Justin Jefferson, third most receiving yards through a player's first 6 career seasons in NFL history. That's an incredible accomplishment for anybody. That's a big time. Obviously very elite company, and he's done it with multiple quarterbacks. I think he's done it with 4 or 5 different quarterbacks. So again, it's just a testament to who he is and the kind of player he is and the level that he's been able to keep up over this time. But I don't know. It's a big win for the Vikings. They find a way to win again without their rookie quarterback while he's banged up, J.J. McCarthy. And again, it's going to make it a real difficult decision for Kevin O'Connell when he comes back. Do you sit the veteran and say, hey, we're going back to the rook when you've averaged almost 30 points a game with him at the helm? Or do you say, hey, we're going to let the rook sit and learn from the veteran and we'll revisit this next year? I think that's going to be a real conversation. I don't think he just says, hey, J.J. McCarthy's back, like throw him back in there, because if it doesn't go well, then it becomes a massive issue both in the locker room and with the fan base, because you are seeing some success with Carson Wentz. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he's doing enough to win these ball games. And I know they had a tough game against the Steelers last week and they lost. But again, the offense is productive. You got to get some stops defensively. But, you know, I'm not sure J.J. McCarthy wins this game against the Browns. That's a tough front. You're going against Myles Garrett. You got to overcome all those things. You're going against a Schwartz coach defense, and he's going to give you really, really difficult looks. They're going to give you a lot of man press coverage. And I just haven't seen J.J. McCarthy show enough to think that he would have outdueled him in this game.
Well, you're already on record saying they made a mistake and they should have re-signed Sam Darnold. You said J.J. McCarthy was not ready. If you are the decision maker in this Minnesota Vikings organization, I mean, we've already seen enough from J.J. McCarthy this season. Outside of his miracle fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears week 1, I mean, he really has been very underwhelming, and you can see frustration. I mean, Justin Jefferson is a pro's pro. He showed that today. He commented that he loved playing overseas, Richard, and that's a pro's pro, being overseas for 2 weeks. You know, you could love playing overseas, but like you said, being there for 2 weeks is a different story. But what would you do if you're in this decision, with this decision-making process? Carson Wentz and sit J.J., let him develop for another year, or do you throw J.J. McCarthy back in there once he's back healthy?
No, I think you let him sit and learn and be a backup. I think you give him some reps in practice, obviously to keep him prepared in case anything happens to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz got banged up in this game. and I'm not sure what the injury was, how serious it was to his left shoulder, but he got banged up in this game. So you want to obviously keep him prepared and ready to play, but I don't think you throw him back in there and potentially shake up the momentum of an offense that's starting to find its rhythm, starting to find its footing. And so that's what I would do. I think that should have been the plan coming in. I think you should have kept Sam Darnold if you could have kept him for a year and done the exact same thing. But again, I think he would benefit from that. And then if a situation does come up where he's forced into action, at least he's had a chance to prepare as a backup and had a chance to see the looks and almost mature a little bit in his development instead of going out there and trying to learn while on the job. I think that's one of the hardest things to do at one of the hardest positions in sports. I wanted to take a second and let y'all know that today's show is brought to y'all by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. And week 5 wraps up in Duval between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mitchell and I are going to share streaks from Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. You can find live odds to bet on all these streaks in the Hard Rock Bet app.
First one is Kareem Hunt's found the end zone in 6 straight October games and has rushed for 33-plus yards, 8 Monday night games in a row. Looks like Red October is his season, Richard.
Kansas City has won over Jacksonville 8 consecutive times. Last win for the Duval boys, Mitchell, 2009.
Richard, Patrick Mahomes has thrown for 272-plus yards in 7 consecutive Week 5 games. His over is just 250.5 yards.
And don't forget, Hollywood Brown has reached pay dirt in 5 straight Week 5 games.
Noel Gray, he's recorded 23-plus receiving yards in 4 consecutive October games. His over is at 10.5.
And if you haven't tried your first bet on the Hard Rock Bet app, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place $5 bet, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but $150 in extra bonus bets.
You also get profit boosts for every day of Week 5. If you already missed Thursdays and you haven't used Sundays, don't miss Mondays. You can boost your parlay so it pays extra winnings.
Download the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app and make your first deposit.
Richard, let's talk a little bit about the New York Giants. There's not much to talk about here. They were playing the New Orleans Saints. The Saints come away with the win. Spencer Rattler's first win as a pro. That's good for the Saints. The Saints looked like they had some life out there. The Giants look like a team that their fans are probably happy with for the first time in several years. They finally have some playmakers on this team. You hate to see Malik Neighbors go down, but the fan favorite, Cam Skattebo, with a huge fumble in this game, and then Jackson Dart with some crucial interceptions as well. These rookies, they were given the opportunity. They won it last week. Ultimately, they went on the road this week and come out with a loss. But these are learning experiences. I mean, what do you see with this New York Giants organization? Do you like what you're seeing with Jackson Dart as a rookie?
Obviously, I think the fans like what they see. They like the energy, the charisma, the aura, the confidence, the swagger, all those good things. I think his first drive of the game, even his second drive of the game, he did a great job of pushing the ball down the field and really just playing with confidence and really showing command of this team and its offense. But then the mistakes happen. And sometimes once it rains, it pours in this game. And so the 2 interceptions he threw were tough plays for him and things that he can obviously learn from. The Saints aren't necessarily considered a great team, but again, he played what people considered a really good team in the Chargers in his first start and beat them. So that's the ups and downs. That's the peaks and valleys that you're going to deal with when playing a rookie. Skattebo, an unfortunate fumble that led to a touchdown and really, really sealed the game for the New Orleans Saints, along with the Rashid Shaheed deep touchdown from a really, really, really beautiful pass from Spencer Rattler. But the part about that isn't, I don't hate any of that. I think, it's fine. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. A young guy's going to make mistakes. Skattebo, again, another rookie, he's going to make his mistakes. but you can't get to the point where you're going on social media and then apologizing to the fans. Like, I think that's something that I would tell young guys to be careful with, because they clearly understand that you're affected by it. You're affected now. Obviously, you care. No matter what, you're a pro. You're going to care. I don't want to make a mistake. You know that. We know that. You're going to get interviewed after the game. Speak your piece. But I think you got to be careful going on social media and saying, "My bad, fans. I'm going to be better next time," because what if it happens again? Then you start to now your expectation is to go on social media and apologize for the fans. Now we know you're reading their comments, you're reading what they're going to say. They're not always going to say great things and be positive and proactive. And so you just want to avoid like walking down that road. You'll have great games where you don't need to go on social media and say anything. Or you can. You can go on there and say whatever you want and post your highlights if you want. That's great. But I think if you get in the habit of going on there and apologizing for mistakes like you necessarily, you know what I mean, like you're trying to make them, I think it's a slippery slope, and it leads to frustration and depression and anxiety for a player, because you're thinking about those things when it happened. Have you ever seen a player, Mitchell, go to the sideline and you just see him just looks like the blank face just sitting there, like, because he's thinking about what people are going to be saying about him or what people are probably already saying. You're living in that era where, hey, they're probably on social media crushing me, man. That fumble probably going viral. Like, man, they're probably killing me online. Man, I'm going to have to turn off my comments. Like, that's what guys are thinking about during games. And if you're going straight to social media after the game, I'm almost feeling like you're one of those guys. So my advice would be just be careful with all that, because it just sends you down a bad road when things start going bad, and you can't necessarily dig yourself out of it other than deactivating your account and doing all that nonsense. So just 2 cents from Uncle Sherm.
Hey, Richard, you see it from some of the greats that are stepping away from social media during the season, and you understand why these fans can be relentless. But you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. I know you love some Indiana Jones and Daniel Jones. Holy cow. What's up with the Joneses, dude? Mac Jones and Daniel Jones, two guys left for your backup, enjoy your backup status the rest of his career. Not so fast. Both of these guys have turned around their careers. Daniel Jones has got the Indianapolis Colts looking like a very legitimate contender in the AFC, in my opinion. Like, I know you talked about putting them in your power ranks, but I think you've got to be considering it more. They are a Adonai Mitchell fumble at the end zone away from being undefeated right now, Richard. I mean, they went on the road to LA last week and really should have won that game, but for some really dumb mistakes that they've got to be eating away at them now. But they turn the page on that loss and absolutely blow out the Las Vegas Raiders 40-6. Daniel Jones aside, Jonathan Taylor has found his mojo again. This guy looks like the best running back in the NFL again. Do you give him that crown right now, especially seeing how Saquon has entered this season not his best?
Yeah, Mitchell. I mean, you've got to give him credit for that right now. You got to give him his flowers while they're due. It's a year-to-year thing, especially with the running back. Running backs' shelf lives are different for each player, but when a guy's playing like Jonathan Taylor is right now, you got to give him his just due, give him his respect, and give him his credit. He is playing like the best running back in football right now. Obviously, the San Francisco 49ers faithful will say Christian McCaffrey is the guy, and I'm sure the Philadelphia Eagles will say, hey, did you not watch Saquon last year? We did. We understand it, but it's this year now. That was 2024. It's 2025. What have you done for me lately? And right now, lately, Jonathan Taylor is the man, and he's running the football like a man. Another really solid game for him, but 3 touchdowns. You're going to start to hear MVP chants associated with Jonathan Taylor's name because he's been so productive, Mitchell. He's got 7 touchdowns on the season, and he's done it a number of different ways. But and what's crazy is he was an Adonai Mitchell holding call away from another 50-yard touchdown against the LA Rams last week. So he's had touchdowns called back as well. So, again, we're in a league right now. You talk about keeping up with the Joneses. You got Mac Jones on one side playing really great for a 4-on-1 San Francisco 49ers team. And then you got Indiana Jones over here for the Indianapolis Colts playing really great football. For a team that could be 5-0 right now easily, again, had Adonai Mitchell not had those mistakes. And it's not looking like they really have a lot. Like, you're not looking at their schedule and saying, man, I think they're going to lose this game. Or you're looking at their division saying, oh, man, this is a tough division. They got the Arizona Cardinals next week, who just lost to a Tennessee Titans team that they beat pretty handily, 41-20, just last week or earlier in the season, in September. And then they got the LA Chargers, who've had an up and down season. They just lost 27-10 to the Washington Commanders. So there's a world in which we're going to start really considering if the Indianapolis Colts are going to be the 1 seed in the playoffs, the way they're playing and the consistency in which they're playing with. And again, Shane Steichen and the way he's coaching this team, he deserves Coach of the Year consideration. Obviously, I'm biased and think Kyle Shanahan deserves it with the masterful job he's doing with all the injuries and everything that the San Francisco 49ers are dealing with. But the expectations that the Colts had coming into the season versus what they're putting out there each and every week has to be recognized, has to be celebrated, and has to be considered when you're talking about that, because Jonathan Taylor's showing up in a big way, and he's always been really talented. Their defense is playing good football. They held the Raiders to 6 points, picked off Geno Smith twice in this game, and I don't even really want to get into Geno, man. He's having a rough season right now. Some unfortunate luck and some rough decisions, but give the Colts a lot of credit, man. They look like a really good team, and they look like a true contender in the AFC. I can't think of outside of the Buffalo Bills, another team that I'm thinking that is head and shoulders above them right now.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. I mean, you look at them, and they came out of nowhere. But credit to Daniel Jones turning his career around. Richard, I know you don't want to talk about Geno Smith, but let's talk about Pete Carroll here. No one knows Pete as well as you know. Pete, you played for him for years. I know you guys have got a great relationship. I know you were really pumped for him to have this opportunity in Las Vegas. Reality is Vegas has started 1-4. I can't imagine he's thrilled with that. What is he going to do internally to help switch this and put them into a new gear to kickstart their season?
I think they're going to just continue on the path that they're on. Obviously, Aston Genty is starting to really showcase his ability and the things that he can do. Geno with the turnovers, I mean, he was 25 of 36 for 228, but the 2 interceptions are glaring. I think he's got 9 interceptions in the first 5 games of the season, and that's unexpected, and it's hard to win in this league when your quarterback is throwing that many interceptions. And I think that's what he's going to focus on. He's going to focus on, hey, without these things, take away the 9 interceptions. Like, they've been in some of these games. Ashton Genty needs to be more involved. They're correcting some of the mistakes on the offensive line, but there's not a ton of talent on this team offensively. So I think they give him another year. He gets another draft class, another free agent class, and really inject some talent into this team. But right now they're just not good enough, and they're not playing good enough. The Colts handled them handily, and it really could have even gotten worse than it was, and it was 40-6. So I think he's going to stay positive. He's going to stick to the run game they're doing. He's going to really continue to speak confidence into these guys. Try to correct some things on defense because they can't be giving up 40 points a game, and we'll see what happens. But this wasn't a great team to begin with. He didn't inherit a great team, and I expect them to be drafting high this year, and hopefully they get it corrected and give them more time to get this thing turned around.
Well, the Indianapolis Colts are surprising everyone with their winning ways. The Baltimore Ravens are shocking the NFL landscape with a 1-4 start. And I know Lamar Jackson is out, but this problem was already intact before he went out. This game this week, holy cow. I mean, Richard, what is your panic meter in Baltimore right now? They lose 44-10 at home without Lamar, but showed absolutely no life in this game. C.J. Stroud has a dominating performance. C.J. Stroud over the last 2 games, Richard, is 45 of 55 or 478 and 6 touchdowns. This Texans team was 0-3 to start the season. Now they're 2-3. Baltimore, 1-4. Richard, where is your panic meter at in Baltimore?
My panic meter is at 11 or 12 or 57, whatever the highest it can be, because We talking about the Baltimore Ravens. They're an incredibly talented team when they're healthy, but right now the salary cap is 280. 160 million of the guys that they pay, 160 million dollars of their players are hurt or on IR. Ronnie Staley didn't play in this game. Roquan Smith didn't play in this game. Kyle Hamilton didn't play in this game. Chidobe didn't play in this game. Emory Jones didn't play in this game. And obviously their star quarterback Lamar Jackson, of course, didn't play in this game. And we just talked about Kyle Shanahan being coach of the year because of what he's able to do, even despite all the injuries, because they can make the same complaint that they lost multiple all-pro players and they're on IR and they're hurt and, they should be getting blown out and have excuses. But I think John Harbaugh could do a better job with this. I think this just shows how valuable Lamar Jackson is. I remember guys just last year saying, it's Baltimore Ravens team. Without Lamar Jackson, they'd still be a playoff team. And without Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills would win 4 games. I know the other guys are out. But if nothing else, this showed Lamar Jackson affects winning for Baltimore in a really, 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 really big way. And if you don't have him and he's not out there creating the chaos and big plays that he creates, then you're going to have big issues. And I think the Houston Texans had some animosity and some real good memories about last year in the 31-2 ball game where they got blown out and embarrassed by the Baltimore Ravens. And they said, hey, we're going to give you back. We're going to get our get back. And they did that in a big way, 44-10, and probably wanted to score more. It was a big confidence boost for C.J. Stroud, who looks like he's found his rhythm over the last 2 games. You talked about it, 45 of 55, 478, and 6 touchdowns. He's starting to look like himself, starting to find Nico Collins a lot more, starting to look confident and his reads, starting to get some time and some protection. Every quarterback looks good in the National Football League. Not everyone, but good quarterbacks look good when you give them time to really go through their progressions and find guys. He got the ball in some tight windows today. He looks like the guy that we thought was a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League over his first few years. And the Houston Texans need this play to continue if they're going to be competitive in this AFC South, with the Colts becoming who they are and the Jacksonville Jaguars off to the 3-1 start that they're off to. Obviously, they play tomorrow night against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's going to be a really, really, really fun game in the AFC, and really going to tell us a little bit more about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs for that matter. But the Baltimore Ravens are in a tough spot, and it's going to be really tough to see them dig themselves out of this hole if Lamar Jackson's not healthy and the rest of these guys aren't healthy, and they lose a few more games. They're 1-6 or 1-7. Do you even bring those guys back?
It's a great question. That's a great question. Richard, another team that you were super high on was this LA Chargers team. I mean, they were off to a 3-0 start, and now they've lost back-to-back games, and they lose at home, and they weren't even really in this. The Washington Commanders come in and beat them up pretty good, 27-10. The Commanders look solid. I know their fan base was super, super high coming into this season on this team. And 2-2, maybe not the start they expected. And then they're facing a tough opposition in the Chargers. A lot of folks probably had the Chargers penciled in for a win here. The Commanders take them down by 17. Obviously, Jaden Daniels being back in the fold, 15-26, not the best statistically, but he got it done. 231 and a touchdown. And then your boy Deebo Samuel. I mean, come on, man. He comes in there and is really giving this Commanders offense a new identity. They're strong. They're tough. 8 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. Richard, the Commanders, I know your buddy Bobby Wagner is captaining this defense. A huge showing for them defensively. What do you got to say about the Washington Commanders?
Well, I think we'll start. I mean, I think this is a huge win for them and a good confidence builder. They've had so many injuries, 2 starting receivers. Noah Brown's out with the injury. Scary Terry McLaurin's out with an injury, so a lot of pressure and a lot of targets towards Deebo Samuel, and everybody's had that conversation. Deebo's not a true receiver and all this other stuff. He stepped up in a big way in all 3 of their wins, and he's shown his value to this team. eight catches for 96 yards and a touchdown today. He continues to be consistent. With Jaden Daniels coming back, that was a huge boost to this offense. Obviously, Marcus Mariota tried to get the job done as best he could before, but to have their big time quarterback back, their young quarterback in a game like that was huge. But on the other side, the LA Chargers are decimated on the offensive line, and you cannot play in this league without an offensive line. They lost two really, really good tackles. I mean, some would argue the best tackle tandem in the National Football League in Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. You lose both of those guys, you lose your starting tackles, your day one starters on any team, you're in a really bad spot. You're in a tough spot. But to lose two high-level starters on a really talented team, I don't know how you replace him. And they've done their best to replace him. But again, Herbert was sacked 4 times in this game, and then they got Trey Lance once. But it just shows the issues on this offensive line that you have to correct. You have to keep guys in. You gotta bring your tight ends in. You got to use different formations. You got to chip them. You got to protect them, which limits what you can do offensively. And just with all that said, Herbert was 22 of 29, 166 yards, a TD, and an interception. But it's hard to expect any quarterback to be successful without time. This game was tough. I think it turned around on the Quentin Johnson fumble and that play. It's hard to win like this. And everything has changed for the Chargers, in my opinion. If they can't have those two guys, those two tackles healthy, it's an entirely different team offensively, and it makes it tough to put them in the rankings and really see them like we saw them before, because they aren't who we saw before, because you can't protect your quarterback. Justin Herbert can be really efficient and really effective if he has time and he has space to operate. Without space to operate, I just said it, no quarterback's going to be really effective in the National Football League, no matter how talented you are. In that show today.
Richard, we got to talk about one more game before we tie the knot on week 5 here. The Cardinals at home against the Tennessee Titans. I mean, you want to talk about absolutely blowing a game. The Arizona Cardinals are up 21-6. Amari DiMercato races away on a 70-yard should-be touchdown run. He's coasting into the end zone at about the 10, 15-yard line, and then pulls an Adonai Mitchell and fumbles the ball, drops the ball at like the half-inch line. What is it with this? And then they turn around, Titans do, score a touchdown. Then the Cardinals get the ball back, don't do anything with it. Titans throw an interception. Cardinals fumble the interception into the end zone. Tyler Lockett scores a touchdown. And then finally the Titans run down the field and score a game-winning field goal. Talk to me about starting with Amani DiMercato, the replacement for both James Conner and Ty Benson. I mean, what is going through these guys' minds not securing the ball through the goal line? Like, you get this opportunity so limited. I mean, this is a backup who's now getting an opportunity to play meaningful minutes for a team that's in contention for their division, and they lose to the lowly Tennessee Titans. What do you say to this guy if you're a teammate of his?
I mean, you just got to stay positive. You got to tell him, keep your head up. We can't have it again. The coaches will rip him in film. He'll see it 5 or 6 or 7 more times before it's all said and done. But that's all you can do. A guy isn't trying to make those mistakes. He's not trying to have those plays, but it sucks. If you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, I mean, you got to be sick. 3 losses. The 3 losses that they have this year all have been on field goals as time expired. Every single one of them. The San Francisco 49ers beat them as time expired. The Seattle Seahawks beat them as time expired. The Tennessee Titans just beat them, Mitchell, you guessed it, as time expires. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. I know Jonathan Gannon has to be in there just pulling his hair out, because he believes, especially this game, they did enough to win this game. They did everything. You talk about Murphy's Law, everything that could go wrong, going wrong on a single play, and Tyler Lockett somehow ending up with the ball in the end zone for a touchdown for the Tennessee Titans to keep them in this ball game. Then your offense kind of sputters late in the game. They get the ball back, drive down the field, get a late field goal. You're only up 2. Oh my goodness. You got to be seeing made field goals in your nightmares at this point. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? The Titans scored 16 points in in the fourth quarter, and you got to get these things corrected. You've seen games where your teams come back, and in the Seattle Seahawks game, they made a big time comeback. Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing better now. He's playing more confident. He made an incredible catch to start this game, a 44-yard catch over two defenders. Mitchell, it looked like Megatron. He looked like Megatron a little bit. But to get to the end of this game and for it to end that way on another game-losing field goal as time expired, it has to be deflating for this team. And obviously you got to find a way to turn it around and come back. But, I know they're frustrated.
Well, they got to be. They got.
These are the lines for the Monday Night Football Hard Rock Bet. All odds and lines come from our partners at Hard Rock Bet. We're going to do the Monday Night Football game between the Chiefs and the Jaguars. And these are the three bets I would make for the game. I got Chris Jones over a half a sack. They only got him for a half sack. Trevor Lawrence ain't moving nowhere. Chris Jones is going to find his wins. He's going to get there. He's going to get him down. I know they're trying to function at a higher level and faster, but Chris Jones is going to get home more than for at least a sack. I got Patrick Mahomes over 299.5 passing yards. This Jacksonville Jaguars defense is great at taking the ball away and EPA and all those good things, but with Xavier Worthy back and Thornton and Travis Kelce, the offense is starting to open up. Patrick Mahomes is starting to find his groove back. I think this is going to be a game where he has to have big yardage, and Jacksonville is going to get some points because Travis Etienne is really effective running the football. And, they have some weapons on offense with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. I think he's going to have to get going. So 299, I got him over. And I got Kareem Hunt with an anytime TD. Anytime they get close to the end zone and they get tight, that's where they're going. They're putting Kareem Hunt in for the 1 yard touchdown, and they're going to get it. They're not a tush push team. So I think Kareem Hunt would get that job done. And so if I had anybody for an anytime touchdown, it's going to be Kareem Hunt in this game. Mitchell, what do you think about my picks?
Richard, I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him at all. I like Chris Jones over a half sack. And the one, if you would have told me this 2 weeks ago, Patrick Mahomes over 299.5 passing yards, I would have started scratching my head. But after seeing the game against the Baltimore Ravens last week, I think Patrick Mahomes has come to the realization that he's going to have to put this team on his shoulders and get them back to their winning ways. So I can get with you on the 299.5 over for Patrick Mahomes. Kareem Hunt, that's a toss-up. Anytime touchdown score, we shall see. But, Richard, this game, Hard Rock Bet has the current line at 3.5 with the Chiefs being favored. I mean, that seems a little light with the Jaguars that we knew last year. But this Jaguars team is 3-1. Do you think they cover the 3.5-point spread, getting plus 3.5 for the Jags?
I do. I think the Chiefs cover this spread. I think they're starting to find their identity. I think defensively, they're going to cause some problems for this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. I thought the San Francisco 49ers had them dead to rights a few times. They let them off the hook. I don't think that that the Kansas City Chiefs and this Spagnuolo coach defense is gonna allow them to move the ball down the field in that way. I think that Chris Jones has a big game. I think Trent McDuffie has a big game, and they come out with a win. I got them at 7 points.
Okay. Richard, before we leave, I saw a photo on social media with the LOB. The Legion of Boom was had a reunion. Richard, they were all reunited. All you guys in a photo together. Talk to me about that moment. Talk to me about the brotherhood of the LOB and what it was like to be around those guys all in one room again.
Well, it felt good. I mean, obviously, we all stay in contact. We all text and talk. And a good number of us are still in the area, so we still get to hang out. So it wasn't like we don't see each other that often, but it's all, it's all great energy, great laughs, checking on the kids. The wives were there. It was great conversation. Always fun and always energizing to be back around those guys. You can see everybody's enjoying it themselves. Everybody's smiling. Nothing but laughs. Marshawn is going to be himself as always. And Mike Bennett, just so many personalities. It's always a good time when those guys get together.
Well, Richard, it's always a pleasure. I will let you sign us off.
Well, before I sign us off, Mitchell, I want to talk about the shakeup in my power rankings because the Eagles lost,
Okay.
the Lions won, the Rams lost, the Seahawks lost. Seahawks and Rams probably fall off my power rankings. I must say the San Francisco 49ers will make an appearance. I don't know where they'll make it yet because we got some other things, some other games that need to happen. The Lions won, so I would guess they would move up. The Bills still have yet to play, and we'll see how the result of their game goes. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sure do look good. So, Mitchell, I'm just giving you a hint there. They may be involved.
Let's go Patriots, Richard, because I would love to see the Detroit Lions move up 2 slots to your number 1 spot. Richard, always a pleasure. I will let you sign us off as we conclude Week 5.
Appreciate you, Mitchell. Appreciate you guys for joining us. As always, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. If your team won, congratulations. If your team lost, the sky's not falling. But for some of these 1-4 teams, it's almost time to start looking at the draft because it don't always turn around that quickly, and the percentage of teams going 1-4 and making the playoffs is low. But we sure do love and appreciate you guys checking out the Richard Sherman podcast. Hit that sub button if you're new, and we'll see you next time.